Hey everybody, what's going on? So want to do a quick little video here and just kind of hit the high spots, but show you guys how easy it is to put the accessory light bar onto the Traxxas Summit. Now, a lot of people that get Traxxas Summits are seasoned RC folks and will have no problem with this. You know, some of you getting these may be newer to the hobby and might be a little intimidated about working on stuff or wiring up lights or anything like that. You have to excuse me, my allergies are absolutely killing me today. Now the Summit comes wired with lights already, so you know you have the front 4 headlights and the 2 tail lights, and it is already pre-wired for your light bar kit. The Traxxas light bar, there is the, hopefully that makes it out. There's the part number. You can Amazon, you can get these from Traxxas, wherever. These are about 15 bucks. And what it is an exact replacement for the light bar up here. So let's go ahead and open this up and we will show you what you get in the package. And then we'll show you the high spots you're gonna need to know to install this on your truck. Very easy. You're only going to need a couple of Allen keys to do this, and just a few minutes of time. That is, if this weather doesn't absolutely kill me. I've basically been living off sinus medication and stuff for the last few weeks, and with right now, this video will be up for a while, but right now, we're right in the midst of all the virus outbreak stuff. So, gosh, I have to blow my nose here in a second. You sneeze out in public or something like that, and people look at you like, plague, plague. All right, cool. So what we get with this is a nice little instruction sheet. You can get a couple of zip ties that you may or may not use. If you run this right, you really don't need them. And here is your light bar. So it mounts directly to there. Has this little wire that comes off of it. Now you will need a drill bit, a pair of scissors, a body reamer, something to knock a hole in your roof right here. Body reamer is best. But if you don't have one of those, a small drill bit will do it. Inside your instruction sheet here, it does have a thing you can cut out, a little template you can put on the roof, show you where to cut it out, but it's pretty easy just to kind of eyeball it. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing you're going to, you can follow the instructions however you want. Now you can basically either mount your light bar first or last. Now we're going to do it last. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the four body clips and go ahead and get the body off. Okay, so we got the body off. So what we're going to have to do, and this is probably the most intimidating part of this install, is we're going to have to pull the motor. But it is relatively simple. Now, you have 2 bolts here. You have this top bolt, and you have this one kind of right here over to the side. Kind of get my finger on it, away from it. I'm trying to do this while looking through the camera. So you've got this little smaller bolt here, and they're 2 different sizes. But basically what this is this bolt is going to hold your motor in. This bolt, I don't know if it's going to come across on camera, but you're going to notice there's a slit in this motor mount that this top bolt rides in. Now this top bolt adjusts your motor mesh. So when you loosen this, the motor will rock back and forth to set your pinion mesh. Because if you were to change your pinion size, you need your pinion spur to be matched up. So if you don't want to reset your gear mesh, what you can do is, from factory, you could take a little bit of white out or something and make a mark, or you could take a little scribe or something and make a mark right above this bolt and then put it back in the exact location. Or there's videos on how to do this by hand. Basically, you do it by sound. If you can hear, it's got a lot of walk back and forth. This is more, this is the lash in the transmission. It's a little bit in the pinion spur, but most of this back and forth lash here is inside this gearbox, inside the 2-speed and the transmission here. And you can't really get rid of that without changing out some parts. It's not a big deal. But if you hear, it's pretty loud, but if you get that too tight, it's going to be even louder and almost binary. If you get it to where you can barely hear it, it's a little too loose. But we'll talk about that when we put the motor back together. And I'll show you guys kind of how I do it. There's different ways of doing it out there. There's a paper method. I do it by sound. But let's go ahead and Obviously, make sure it's off. There's no batteries or anything in it. And we're going to go ahead and be very careful. We're going to go ahead and back these two screws out. You'll probably have to use the little L handle tool that came with it, because this bolt over here on the side, there's really no good way to get at it. So we'll just go ahead and pull it out by hand. It may take us a minute, but then this motor's just going to pull back and come right out. Okay, so hopefully you guys can make this out. I actually ended up pulling just the bolt that actually holds the motor, you know, the top bolt, the one that holds the tilt on the motor. I was actually able to pull it out. Now I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but right here where my finger is, if you'll notice on yours, this little kind of guide, sort of a barrel, kind of a shaft guide here. The motor is going to slide back and forth on this. Once you take that bolt out, you can slide the motor back. It acts like it's not going to come out, but if you're very careful with these, I didn't cut this zip tie here, but if you're very careful around this bundle of wires here, and you sort of twist the motor the right way, it will pop right out. Now, you don't have to disconnect, just lay it to the side, but here's your Titan 775 and all that. So right here is where that guide goes. So it's just going to slide out and sort of arc up, and there is your motor. We'll just set this kind of off to the side here so nothing's really pulling. Now down in here, you're going to see this wire right here coming off of your speed control. And it taps into the wire. It's the power wire for your LEDs. And I actually forgot to show you, it comes in the pack. Here is the jumper harness that you're going to plug in. And now this is going to tap in, so your front and rear wires are powered up, and then this pigtail is going to come off up out of here, and this is what your light bar will plug into, so you can take the body on and off a little easier and stuff like that. So you're going to plug this is why you have to take the motor out, is to plug this jumper in so that you can power your light bar. So be very careful, clip the little zip tie down there, make sure you don't unclip any of your wires. You can re-zip tie them back if you need to. I'm just going to make sure I get them in there really good. So go ahead and plug your tap into your LEDs. Okay, so we have our jump wire, our Y-tap coming off there. We just have the little zip tie around all the little bundle of wires there, and kind of got them stuffed where they sort of make sense, where you get your maximum amount of wire lead coming out. As you guys can see, there's your spur gear, slipper, clutch, transmission assembly. That's where all your gear reduction is going to reside. There's your spur and your slipper set up. So now we're just going to slide the motor back onto that little shaft right there and slide it back in and start the screw in. Like I said, just be very careful. Take your time. Make sure nothing binds up. Get that in there, and then we'll set our gear mesh. All right, so we're going to go ahead and set our gear mesh. Now, what we've got set up here is I've got this sitting on my T-Bone Racing work stand. You could set this up on anything if you want to. The growl of the steering servos, the normal Summit thing. Every Summit I've ever seen does that. It cracks me up. All right, so what we've got is we've got our transmitter on. Threw a couple lipos in here. Now you don't have to charge your lipos up to do this. You can do this off storage mode, 'cause you're not going to be using that much power. But we got the batteries in. We got it turned on. It's in low gear. So here's what we're going to do. Now let me show you guys this. So when you pull the motor all the way, now we've got it to where it'll move, but it's almost, but it can move through. So right now I wouldn't recommend doing this a lot. I'm just going to do it to show you guys. So I've got the motor pulled all the way away. So you hear that? The motor is not even engaging. So if we slide it over a little, still not. You hear that? That's it ticking the spur gear. Now if we go a little further, there it's hitting. Now let's go all the way in. Now we're all the way tight. Now okay, you hear that? How it's just grinding? That's too tight. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out, and this is sort of a guess, so we're going to come out ever so slightly. We're going to tighten this down. When we tighten it down, the motor kind of is going to straighten up, so it might get a little tighter. So now, real easy, we're going to hit the gas a little. Sounds pretty good, so I'm going to turn it by hand. All right, so that could be a little tight. Let's go ahead and move it back just a little bit more and see how that sounds. Now that was a fraction. And of course I threw my Allen wrench off there. Probably wasn't the smartest thing. Ah, don't tell me that's way down it. No, there it is. Okay. Now that almost sounds better, but then if you hear that little sort of when you let off, it kind of has that click sound. I think that is it getting ready to come off of the spur gear. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna light loosen. I'm gonna try to like barely run it and move it at the same time. So right there, that's it, about ready to loose. That's too tight. That's too loose. Right about there. Kind of right in the middle of those two. Now kind of hold it in. Brake. You know, make sure it doesn't jump if you take reverse. Brake, back to forward. Brake, reverse. I think that's good, guys. No slip between, you know, kind of kicking between forward and reverse. It sounded pretty good. Make sure that's snug. There we go. We got our motor back in. And also what we verified there was our headlights and our taillights are working. And before you go any farther, if you really want to, you can take your light bar that you're getting ready to hook up. Go ahead and come over here to your jump wire. Plug it in. There we go. We verified that all four of our LEDs are working. So now let's go ahead and get this installed on the roof of our truck. We are actually done with the check. Okay, cool. Just gonna go freehand here real quick. Got the body up here on the table, so we're getting ready to do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the two little screws out of each side of this, and now this is actually captured inside this. So you're gonna have to flex this part of the exo cage out because this sort of kind of snaps around it. So it's a little hard to get off, but it'll come off pretty easy. Just kind of pop it out of there. Once you do that, there's two little screws that hold the faux light bar to this piece. So you'll go ahead and install your LED bar to this, and then we're going to cut our holes. So I went ahead and actually cut this out to show you guys. So man, it's really bright in the light, but hopefully it comes across. But there's actually a mark where you just basically line this up with the exo cage, punch your hole through. Now there's two marks for two little holes up here at the top. That's for if you want to put a zip tie around there to secure the wires. I'm not going to do that. I want as few holes in this body as I can get. So what I'm going to do is actually go in here, and once I run the wire through, I'll just put a piece of Gorilla Tape over my body on the inside. I'll just Gorilla Tape it because you're not really going to see it from the inside. That way I've really just got a hidden hole under here where you're not going to really be able to see it. Okay, so we got a little stencil on here. And it's not a perfect stencil, but it'll give you an idea. Basically, it's pretty much hidden under the light bar. So I kind of put it back against the kind of the ridge line of the body there where these grooves start in the body, line it up to that center line. Get it reasonably straight. It doesn't have to be dead nuts perfect. Like I said, now you can do this with a drill bit. You can do this with a pair of scissors if that's all you got. I mean, honestly, you could probably do it with a razor blade if you had to. I'm going to use this body reamer I've got here. Just kind of screw the top off. You can pick these up on there. And if you're honestly going to be into the RC hobby, I would suggest getting a body reamer. This was a $10, $15 one off Amazon. If you're going to be working on Lexan bodies, you need to get you a good body reamer and a good pair of body scissors. But now basically what I'm going to do is just mark a little hole in here, kind of mark it on the body. Then I'll pull the stencil off. And we'll cut this just big enough to pass the connector. And that gives you a drill bit size on there. I'm going to do it just big enough to pass the connector for the LEDs through the roof. Okay, cool. So that's pretty well centered. I mean, it's not exactly perfect, but like I said, no one's really going to see it. And you can see how clean that a good body reamer will make that hole. You know, it's not like a drill bit's kind of going to dig up the leg sand. That really cuts and smooths it out really nice. And that's just big enough to pass our LED cable through. So now we're going to go ahead and pass our cable through, snap our bar back on, and stick the 2 screws on each side, and then we'll go underneath and give it a tape job. Right, so we are completely tightened up now. As you can see, you can barely even see that hole. If you kind of go from the top, it's pretty well hidden underneath your light bar there. And you know, later on or something, if you did decide to use, say, like a Pro Line light bar or something like that, you know, you pretty much got some room to get in here and drill some holes, you know, stuff like that. If you wanted to put more of you know, a modern looking light bar in it. I kind of dig these because they match the front. Like I said, they're not the brightest, but you know, it kind of has that old school KC, you know, roof light off-road look that I pretty much dig. So yeah, there we go. We got those installed. So let's go ahead and we're going to flip the body over. And what I'm going to do in here is I'm just going to go ahead and throw a piece of Gorilla Tape over this, sort of seal this up. And then I'll probably put a little piece maybe over here on the side, something like that. So we, you know, we put the body on, we can just plug that right in, and it's really easy to do. So we got this tape, a little piece over that, kind of seal it up, keep all the wires from pulling or anything like that. Little piece on the kind of top corner here. Now I didn't tape any more down here. The reason I'm going to do that is that way this can the body can move a little easier. You know, you can pop the body off, kind of lay it on the tires, and don't have to unhook this all the time. But this will keep that wire up out of the way enough that it does get wrapped up, anything get pulled, or a stick come up through the side or something like that. You know, because if you're going to be off-roading this thing, you know, this will kind of keep it out of the way. And one thing, yep, there goes the dryer. Now, one thing to kind of make sure what I would do is, so the body here, you know, front to my right, back to my left, I would run the wire down what would be the driver's side, because that's the side your wire is going to come out beside your antenna and out from under your motor on. If you run it on the passenger side, you know, you're going to end up having less cable. So make sure if you do this, you run this down the driver's side. And all right, so we got the install done. As you can see, got the front LEDs, factory LEDs burning, roof lights burning, tail lights are on. So I think that looks pretty good. Definitely makes the truck look a little tougher. Like I said, you know, just a standard kind of servo style connection. So, you know, you could pretty much use anybody's light bar if you wanted to, but I think for the money, you can't really beat this for a clean factory installed look on the Summit. So a little B-roll here, side I would show you guys. So there are both the Summits, both lit and wired up. My girlfriend's purple and black, and my new one that just came in, the orange and black, which is about to get full custom paint and all that. Yeah, I may end up painting her one too. So I'm not sure how well this will come across on video, but all the lights are off in my basement down here. So they definitely put out some light. It's definitely throwing my focus completely off. But there is the back side of my basement that's about 15, probably 15, 18 feet away. As you can see, 2 of them are definitely lighting up the night. So you can definitely do some nighttime crawling. All right, cool, everybody. Well, I suggest you go out and pick yourself up one of these Summits. They are amazing vehicles. They've been around forever, but I think they're one of the most versatile, fun, you know, trucks you can get, especially with the 2-speed transmission, you know, and all that, and definitely fun to upgrade. Cool. If you guys got any questions, comments, leave them down below. Catch you on the next one.